How's it going, everyone? It's me, Lone, and as you know, the NoClip YouTube channel under the guidance of Danny O'Dwyer have been doing some really cool documentaries into different games developers, and recently they did a big one into Bethesda Game Studios, and they just also published a specific documentary into the development of Fallout 76. Now obviously there's a lot of interesting information about the game in that documentary, and I want to be covering the main points in this video. We'll be deep diving into literally everything that I picked up on, including from what Todd Howard and the team said, and also literally everything that I could see on screen, from screenshots to concept art. But please go watch the documentary for yourself. I can't cover everything in this video, and nor do I want to. I want you to watch this video. It's a beautiful piece of videography. Honestly, hats off to Danny O'Dwyer and the team. You can truly feel the passion exerted from Todd Howard and BGS as a whole when you watch these videos. So again, links in the description below. But for now, let's cover the main points that were addressed in the Fallout 76 specific documentary. And if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments below. I try to be as comprehensive as possible, but naturally mistakes can be made and things can be missed out on. So let's get to it. So Danny and the NoClip team wanted to ask BGS 3 questions. What was the story behind the development of Fallout 76? What the world of West Virginia was like? And also what was the gameplay like? At the end of the video, they also asked about Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, but I won't be covering that in this video. So first of all, the origins of 76. Bethesda Game Studios was designing Fallout 76 while Fallout 4 was being developed. It was in fact the multiplayer that they designed for Fallout 4. Because BGS didn't have experience in making online games, they utilized the Austin, Texas team, the former Battlecry Studios, who had fully fledged MMO experts. As the main BGS team moved on to Fallout 4 DLC and Starfield, they had the Austin team work on 76. The Austin team had to retrofit multiplayer capabilities into the Fallout engine. They actually implemented the QuakeNet code into the Fallout engine. It was a huge effort. But eventually they figured out how to get the engine to work with multiplayer. Then in Maryland, a small team started to brainstorm the multiplayer project. They decided the world needed to be really big, and they also went with a more rural location. So like with Fallout 3 and DC, they had to go on location to West Virginia. And then part 2, West Virginia. Todd and the team stated that every game starts with a map. The first thing BGS did was build the map for West Virginia. They essentially tried to shrink down the entire state into the map. The map of 76's West Virginia is divided into 6 areas, which at this stage seems to be Forest, Ash Heap, Toxic Valley, the Savage Divide, the Mire, and Cranberry Bog. Cranberry Bog, for instance, is filled with carnivorous plants, and they've introduced a lot of wild mutants in that area. The mountainous region on the map has a much more post-apocalyptic feel. And now here is a list of every single location that was mentioned or referenced in the documentary. Lumber Mill, Isolated Cabin, Albine River Caverns, Point Pleasant, Morgantown, Summersville Lake, Morgantown Train Yard and Municipal Airport, Vaultec University, which is probably a recreation of West Virginia University, Mama Dolce's Food Processing, Something Jungtown, Harper's Ferry, Valley Galleria, Something Brothers Cabin, Bramwell, Vault 63, Lake Reynolds, Big Bend, Lewisburg, Welch, Mount Blair Train Yard, Beckley, Joe's Spuckies, Burning Mine, Mount Blair, Uncanny Something, Relay Tower 3 and 5, Riverside Manor, The Rusty Pick, Camden Park, Charleston, which is where the first responders are and the location of the fire department clothes you can see in the trailer. That location also has a terminal where you can take a training course like the GOAT to get your fire safety certificate. The Charleston Fire Department, Charleston Capitol Building, Summersville Dam, Charleston Landfill, Nuka-Cola Quantum Plant, Charleston Train Yard, AVH Medical Center, Summersville Mansion, Soggy Floodlands, Festering Toxic Wastelands, Swampy Woods. Then there is a huge mountain range that cuts across the entire map. This is possibly the Blue Ridge Mountains that's mentioned in the song by John Denver. Green Country Lodge, abandoned wood mills, many different watchtowers, flooded mines, a range of different abandoned barbecue joints, the nuclear missile silos, a crashed space station, the top of the world ski resort, which is the one that looks like the red UFO tower. Then you have the giant excavator, which is specifically a giant bucket wheel excavator. Helvetia, which was founded by a group of Swiss and German immigrants in 1869. Aunt Mabel's Farm, and finally the Greene County Lodge. They picked West Virginia because it was still East Coast, and it was an area that wasn't really touched by the Great War. The team said that no one was really going to nuke West Virginia in the lore of Fallout. so they could still have trees and an interesting visual look. They also incorporated real landmarks from West Virginia. The lore of West Virginia is also full of myth and conspiracy. There are terrifying stories of creatures such as the Grafton Monster, i.e. the Headless Horror, the Flatwoods Monster, the Snallygaster Dragon Demon, and the Mothman. So note, the Mothman was actually this enemy in the trailer, rather than the Flatwoods Monster. The team suggests that maybe the Mothman will actually stalk you in the dark with his eyes. And then when we look at this concept art, this is actually the Flatwoods Monster, which looks much more alien in appearance. The game will also have ticks as enemies with two variants, fed and unfed. There will be far more creatures in this game and more varied types of enlarged insects. There will be two-headed possums, giant sloths, and even intelligent large plants. Because Fallout 76 is set in a time which is closer to when the bombs were detonated, there's much more radiation and therefore the game will have more crazier monsters and mutants. The gameplay footage also shows a pet dog, which might mean that Dogmeat is returning, or it could be another dog. Specifically, the team said they had 63 creatures in 76. From ones that they had before like super mutants, mole rats and Yaogwai, and then new ones like mega sloths. In terms of humans and NPCs, BGS wanted encounters with humans to be special, which is why there are no raiders, and why every person you meet in the game is an actual real person. Also, they said that the lore of the game couldn't support the idea of raiders, as it was set only 25 years after the Great War. The world of West Virginia has yet to be reclaimed, hence Reclamation Day. But the team still wanted gun combat with AI, so they created an entirely new faction of intelligent ghouls called the Scorched, who effectively replaced the role of raiders. These are essentially feral ghouls who are not so far gone and can still use guns. There's also a new dynamic weather system, which has radstorms coming back. The world is much larger than previous games, and 76 also features new tech. The area that was caked in white powder was not snow or even ash. It actually represented chemicals from a nearby factory that had it spilled out. The setting of West Virginia also taps into Cold War conspiracies. West Virginia is the location of the US Radio Silence Zone, a large area used for research and military intelligence. It's also home to the original location of the presidential nuclear bunker located under the Greenbrier Hotel. It also has an adjoining golf course, which apparently has a secret going on that's likely part of the main story. Also, there's much more clothing in this game. Then part 3, the gameplay of 76. It's online, but you can play alone, although you'll still be playing against others. There are no private maps or offline modes at this stage. There is a story mode and quests, but the focus is more on the player determining what to do that day. There are also survival elements, so you'll need to eat food and drink water. You can find parts to create weapons. You can build camps. You can claim public workshops by killing the monsters there. You can work with others in the world to take on events that spawn once you take on a workshop. You'll have access to the resources which are valuable for crafting, like ore for instance, which can be used to make bullets. But of course you can place mini workshops almost everywhere with camps. And if you change your servers, so long as that part of the map is free, your camp and your base will still be in that exact location. If that spot is taken somehow, it is automatically packed up and can be placed somewhere else. Crafting is a huge part of the game. The team wanted to find creatures or flora to combine for recipes. When playing, you want to find creatures or flora that can be combined for recipes. You can craft mods, guns, ammo, food, water, armor, power armor pieces, and so on. So what was there in Fallout 4 and even more? The team wanted to make sure that this crafting was compelling and not a chore. There are also perks available that allow you to craft more stuff at more efficient levels. Again, the game has survival elements, but they wanted a balance between tasks and chores. They asked what is fun in survival. Perhaps not brushing your teeth, but more so eating and drinking to stay alive. You can even eat cats to fulfill your hunger. You can build a cooking stove and make the food more efficient to eat, i.e. it'll make you fill up more than other food. Diseases are back as well. There are also mutations. The more rads you have, the more chance you get mutated. These are almost like traits from Fallout 1 and 2 with pluses and minuses. You can cure these mutations if you don't like them, or actually have them permanently much later in the game. These mutations are mostly on the gameplay side rather than visual. Radios are also returning in the game, with 2 listed in the Pip-Boy being the Appalachia Radio and the Peacetime Radio. In terms of gunplay, weapon degradation from Fallout 3 is returning. Your food in the game can also rot, and you can also focus your character on cooking and then sell your food to other people for caps. In terms of leveling up, Special is returning. Every time you level up, you get to pick a new perk card. from strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. Some of these special elements were actually specifically described. For instance, intelligence is a measure of your overall mental acuity and affects your ability to hack terminals, the condition of durability of the items you craft, and the return you get from scrapping. In terms of charisma, it's your ability to lead and help others. It allows you to share higher point perk cards and also affects your rewards from group missions and prices when you barter. Here are some of the perk cards that were mentioned in the footage. Inspirational. When you're on a team, you and your teammates get 5% more XP. Lone Wanderer. When you're adventuring alone, you take 10% less damage and gain 10% AP regeneration. Vampire. Blood packs will now satisfy thirst, they no longer irradiate you, and they heal you 50% more. First Aid. Stim packs restore 10% more of lost health. Hacker. You gain +1 hacking skill. Concentrated Fire. Every VATS attack on the same body part gains 10% accuracy and damage, and there are also different tiers like 20% and 30%. And finally, Makeshift Warrior. Melee weapons are 30% less likely to break and are cheaper to repair. There's also a limited amount of perk cards you can have at any one time, so if you want to reroll perks, you just have to swap them out. You can also share perks in a party, so team members can specialize in certain areas. It seems that some perk cards will require you to have a particular special point level. You and your team can specialize into different areas, such as survival, combat, medic, defenses, repair, crafting, and others. Again, compared to Fallout 4, there's much more crafting and recipes. These recipes have a lot of pluses and minuses. One may make you more susceptible to disease, but will give you a health buff. The team is also exploring the possibility of allowing us to set up a robot vendor in a hub area. In terms of the types of player communication, there will be voice chat, an emote wheel, and also a photo mode. In Todd's opinion, even with multiplayer, this still feels like Fallout, but the mood is just very different. The team believes they can solve griefing, they just don't want to make the game boring. So how many players can you play with? Well, BGS wants to make the moment of meeting people very special. So around 24 to 32 people can be on one server at any one time. Also, when you open up your paper map in the game, you can actually see where everyone is. You can go help them, join their event, try and kill them, trade with them, become friends, and other things. So if there is a 24-person instance server, you can load in, which is full of people, and then quest with them or ignore them. You can also join your friends in their worlds. And right now, the team numbers are capped at 4 people. BGS then described that Fallout 76 is a live game. Eventually, players will finish everything. So they are working on a team deathmatch mode, but they also want to introduce an endgame that was hard enough to challenge high-level players, but was still repeatable. So they decided upon a cyclical nuclear war and story with the nukes. The map has several nuclear bunkers, and teams will have to find the codes and solve the puzzles to be able to launch the nukes. This story also has something to do with the Scorch Beasts, where they crawl up out of the world, and somehow you need to be able to kill them, seal their fishes, and then you're able to irradiate the world with the nukes. Although this part of the documentary was really confusing and I wasn't sure what they meant by this. But once you nuke an area, there will be new nuclear weather and also flora and fauna that will change to higher levels. Resources in that area will also be much rarer, so you have much rarer materials to craft with. 76 also goes back to the legendary system, but they're also adding more tiers to the legendary weapons and armors. And then once an area has been nuked, it will fade down over time and people will have to find the nukes again. And you'll find different things depending upon the area that you actually nuke. And if you want to explore that area, it becomes much more high level and it's likely that you'll need power armor. And finally, in terms of the game generally, Fallout 76 is a full-priced game and will be supported with free updates for years to come. The game will only have cosmetic microtransactions. According to the team, these microtransactions will allow them to support dedicated servers and keep DLC free. Any purchasable cosmetics will also be available via normal gameplay. For post-launch support, they want to roll out as much content as possible to keep the game fresh. They're going to have one part of the team that works on bigger updates or DLC, and these will be released at longer intervals. And then in between, they'll have much smaller updates, such as new events or free items. But they're going to be playing it by ear after getting player feedback. And then to end the documentary, they talked about Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. Thank you so much for watching this video, I really do appreciate it. If you want to support me further, I would love if you followed me on Twitch for some streams. The link to that is in the description below. And until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourself and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.